The following program is for mature audiences only. The views expressed by the people and other guests on the podcast are their opinions and their own and don't reflect the institutions or establishments that they work for. So please do not get our asses fired or canceled. Thank you very much. Enjoy the show.
Hey, what's up, Glad Gang? This is Jay Whitaker. Welcome to another wonderful episode of Glad You Made It podcast. There's my dog clickety-clacking in the background. He heard that we're starting the podcast, and now he immediately wants to play. If you'd like to donate to the Patreon to help us get a freaking dog sitter, go to patreon.com/gladyoumadeit. There, you can donate and help support and keep Wilson. You know what? That's what we're going to do. If you want to support the podcast, just buy Wilson treats. We're going to get Wilson. He's going to be a fat bitch when this is all said and done. All right?
No, he's going to stay on his diet.
Joining me is my lovely wife and dog dietitian, Kat Humano Whitaker. Hey, baby, how you doing?
Hello. What's
Wilson,
up?
can you? All right. If you do support the podcast, we're not giving them squeaky toys. You might hear some squeaky toys during the beginning of this episode. Just mind that. Just know that we're people, that we are humans that also have a dog human. He's not a werewolf. He is just a human. He's a dog with a human name. His name is Wilson. And he is our dog. He is our dog. And he is a good boy, I think. Kat, how you doing, babe?
I'm all right.
All right. So her and I have been catching up. I've had like a lot of shows in the last couple weeks, and so last night we caught up on a lot of TV. You know, I watched She-Hulk earlier today, so I'm all caught up on She-Hulk for this week. Then we started Lock and Key season 3, which we just gave a giant middle finger to this episode. We got mad together, which made me happy because
you know what it is? It's a good show that does some dumb shit.
Yeah, it's
overall great show, and then they just have moments where you're like, "The fuck? What are you?
You're like,
what are you doing?"
This episode, you know what I mean? That whole episode could have been like 10 minutes, 20 minutes shorter. Leave all the emotional conflict out of it and just keep it moving. Like there's shit. Like we're watching this and we're like, yo, they don't have time for this. You know what I'm saying? And
there's just, I don't even mind that with like the character development in the story, but there's just moments that just don't need to happen. And the most recent storyline I'm pissed about. So
yeah,
we'll see.
We were both like, let's just go do the damn podcast. But then we missed it the first week, but we did watch the second week, which actually worked out better for us because we got the chance to watch 2 episodes back to back. We finally started watching Game of Thrones, House of Dragon. And we're in it. I don't know about you, babe, but I'm in it.
I'm in it. I just forgot a lot about Game of Thrones.
So, quick backstory. Kat and I, when we first met, she had to like cram like 6 seasons of Game of Thrones to like, because I wanted to watch season 7, and then I think, I don't know, maybe season 6, I don't know, but you had to cram a lot of Game of Thrones in a short amount of time.
Wherever we were at in 2018.
We were both on tour. But
I meant show wise.
But I remember you enjoyed it. And I think we watched the second to last season on the road. So, like we would, I think, maybe, I don't know.
No, it was the last season.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yo, I remember this.
Because I remember we were on tour And I said, will you wait for me to watch Game of Thrones? And you're like, I love you, but no.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, fine. So.
And but baby, I watched not the season, the series finale with your mother.
Oh my God. Yeah.
The final episode. Oh my God. I forgot about this, but I watched the final episode of Game of Thrones with your mother. And she was like, who's that? Why is she so mad?
For context, who had never seen an episode in her life, knew nothing. Just nothing. A bystander, just asking all the questions.
Is that a dragon? Why is there a dragon? Why does the chair have swords on it? Like, it was just so many questions. Just think about, wait, are they related? Why are they kissing? Like, it was just, I was like, Shishi, I love you, but I don't know if you're going to make it through this episode. This is the series finale. It's been on for almost a decade, and this is 8 seasons. I don't know how to explain to you 8 seasons. Just like that. There's no way to do it.
Again, so. I'm trying to emotionally process this as well. So, because season 8 was an experience.
Yeah, but I will say this for those who are looking. If you're thinking about it, just watch it. I enjoyed the first two. I enjoyed the first 2 episodes. I was about maybe 20 minutes into the first episode. I was like, damn, they got me. I'm back in. And it was just cool. It takes place 200 years before all the Daenerys Targaryen stuff. And it was cool to see hashtag Thrones Y'all. Thrones Y'all is a great Black Twitter. I'm giving y'all. This is access. I'm not supposed to tell y'all this, but hashtag Thrones Y'all will make Black Twitter made Game of Thrones even better than it already is. Black Twitter was like that hashtag Thrones Y'all was the best, and Games of Thrones was a good one. So make sure you go check it out. Let me know what you think. Shout out to our Patreon users. I really appreciate it. We got a new Patreon subscriber. Monica, what's up? Thank you for supporting the podcast. That means
we love Monica.
Monica's the best. We'll make sure that Wilson gets a new toy with your support, and we really appreciate it. And then let's see, what else do I want to talk about before we get into the show? Oh, we do have a cool episode. We have Terry Tucker in the building for this episode. You guys are gonna like this episode. This is Terry is, if you're not familiar with him, he's a motivational speaker. The man played college ball at the Citadel. He was a former hostage SWAT negotiator, and then he has survived cancer. This man is an absolute warrior, and he used to work at a fast food restaurant. I won't spoil it. I want y'all to figure out which one he listened to, or excuse me, not listened to, but one he used to work for. But he's seen it all, done it all. This man has it's a very inspirational interview. I interviewed him in my hotel room while I was in Salt Lake City, and so I don't know if it's going to be a delay, but I hope y'all enjoy it. What else did I want to tell y'all? I got shows coming up, mostly in Boston and New Hampshire. So just check me out there at itsjaywhitaker.com. Kat, you got anything you want to promote?
Nah.
What about, aren't you directing that? I don't want to spoil it, but are you directing the thing for the Square? Are you doing that? I think
yeah, but it's for a school though, so it's not
matter.
Like
that shit is so cool. I like this for you. So please,
all right. So as most of you know, I'm a dancer. I also teach dance and choreograph, meaning that I choreograph for musicals. And I've been working with some schools the past couple of years. And because I'm a psychopath, decided to kind of expand on what I've been doing and not just choreograph, but also direct, which basically means I'm going to be in charge of almost everything besides the music for the show. And I did not pick the show. Okay, I did not pick the show, but I have heard that it's a great show. I've yet to watch a bootleg of it, but I will. But my directorial debut is the SpongeBob SquarePants musical.
Yeah.
So
sorry.
Holy fuck. You need to turn that down in post. Oh my God.
I'm so sorry. I don't even know if that showed up. My bad. I just did a fog.
Can you imagine? It's just silence and nothing. Great.
All right. Anyways, we'll move forward. We'll move
anyway.
Well,
so yeah, if you want to come to the high school auditorium and see the show,
hey, you're directing, you know.
Anyway,
I'm very happy for you, and so I'm going to celebrate that.
Thanks.
My wife directing
sea creatures.
Yeah, and the squirrel.
Okay, but also just this is a fun little tidbit. Is I guess you can fact check me on this, but I guess usually for musicals, it's just one or two people that write all the music and lyrics for the show. But I guess for SpongeBob, they had different artists compose each song. Okay. So there's one that is, of course, now I'm forgetting all of them. I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think T.I.
And then there's one that's like Panic at the Disco. I don't know. It's some random rock band. So it's... I don't know. We'll see.
I could swear like T.I. is involved. But anyway, so yeah, congratulations. I'm happy for you.
We'll see. I'm excited to watch the show for the first time.
There you go. All right. Well,
it's fine.
So leading off of those good vibes, we're going to take a quick break and hop into gratitude. And Cal will be right back with some segments. Give us some. And we'll be right back. Sorry about the foghorn, babe. All right. Three, two, and we are back. Welcome back to the show. We got some gratitude for you. Kat's gonna read. If you don't know what gratitude is, it's just a little fun weekly things that happen in the world that we live in, and I kind of blind react to them. Sometimes I see them beforehand, sometimes I don't, but we just blind react, and she hits us with some news that'll make you laugh or kind of just whatever, make you feel good. What you got, babe?
I got a little bit of both. Okay. So I got two news stories for you. So I like to read the headline and then give a little summary. So first one is, goats climb on Alabama deputy's patrol car, eat paperwork.
What?
So a sheriff's deputy in Alabama captured photos and video when a pair of goats accosted his patrol vehicle and ate some of his paperwork. Doing the Lord's work. Accosted. So the Madison County Sheriff's Office said the deputy returned to his patrol vehicle after delivering some documents and found two curious goats investigating the car. One of the goats climbed into the vehicle through the open driver's side door and started eating some of Deputy Thrower's paperwork. The other goat climbed up on the hood of the car. What? So I guess he was able to shoo them away eventually, but I'm sure there's a few people that got out of speeding tickets or some serious crimes.
Shout out to the goat.
It's a toss up.
Yeah. So probably I hope they ate some citations, or some parking tickets or some speeding tickets. Yeah.
Something dumb.
Yeah. Hopefully something dumb. Hopefully not any crucial evidence. Like I hope these weren't crooked goats or anything like that.
Mob goats.
What's that?
Mob goats.
Yeah, they could. Who knows? These could have been mob goats. They could have been crooked, and they may. I don't know. Hopefully, these goats are trying to just help out. Not trying to do anything crooked. I just hope they're just maybe like, hey, this guy was going 35 and a 30, just a little bit over. Just maybe eat that ticket. How about that? So shout out to the goats. What's up? What's next?
All right. So this next one. This is a little bit more sweet and heartwarming, but there is a funny side to it. All right. So, Massachusetts man surprises senior community residents with brand new shoes. So, I know. So, residents of the Two Life, the number 2, sounds like a
Two Life
rap gang. Two Life. Senior community.
Baby, that does not sound like a rap gang. That sounds like a Christian rap youth center. That's what it sounds like. I go to Two Life Church, guys.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. What's up, guys? Two Life, man. Two Life. Everybody turn to Ephesians. It's going down, or we're going to have a pancake breakfast. Two Life's going to perform their new single, Forsaken. It is.
Oh, God. It's one of those groups that covers popular songs.
Yeah.
Like the, what is it? The Cha-Cha Slide, but it's all
religious.
Yeah. Anyway.
Praise to the left. Praise to the right.
What is it like? Stomp on the devil.
No, yes.
Anyway.
Yeah,
Anywho. All right. So residents of the Two Life senior community in Brighton, Massachusetts have a new pep in their step thanks to employee James Humphreys. Last year, he noticed that many of the seniors wore worn-out shoes that in some cases were several sizes too big. Humphreys worried that they might trip and fall. This is very summarized. He learned the shoe size of one resident and brought him a new pair of sneakers. When a colleague heard what he did, he gave Humphreys the contact he knew at a sneaker company, and people were so generous and generously offered to donate 20 pairs of shoes to residents who needed them most. Guess the shoe brand.
Crocs? Skechers?
It's exactly who it would be.
I don't know. What?
New Balance.
New Balance. Yay. Good for them. Dad shoe. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, all the seniors walking around in their brand new New Balances.
You know what? I'm with that. That's cool. Shout out to the Two Life getting some new shoes. Good for them. Yeah, New Balance. You know, oh man. Right as summer's about to be over though, you know those outdoor cookouts about to be lit, fam. So it's shout out to the Two Life House. Shout out to Brighton. Shout out to Mr. Humphreys for just doing something kind. That was cool. Good. Thank you, honey. That was a feel good story. I'm imagining all these cool granddads just walking around like yo.
With their shiny New Balances.
Yeah. What's his name? Mr. Humphreys got us these. I'm gonna go grill. Linda, go turn on the grill. You can't have meat anymore.
Oh my God.
No, that was a feel good story. So we're gonna take another break. We're gonna get into the episode with Terry Tucker. I hope you guys will enjoy it. And like I said, go on if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, what it looks like a lot of y'all do listen on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Leave us a review, follow, subscribe, rate us, whatever you got to do. It would really help us out. That would help a brother out. So just go ahead and do that. Subscribe to the podcast. The numbers are looking great. I want to give a shout out to people that are listening all over. We got people in Texas, California, obviously Utah, and Massachusetts are holding us down. Illinois is in the building. There's a bunch of people. So you take care, and we'll be right back. In studio, not really, but he is here. I'm here in my hotel room. He's in a comfortable office. You know, got books and looks like little Funko Pops and pictures of the family. We have Terry Tucker joining us. Good morning, Terry. How you doing?
I'm great, Jay. Thanks for having me on. I'm looking forward to talking with you.
This is great. For those who don't know Terry Tucker, he's the founder of Motivational Check. He's a former NCAA Division I basketball player, so the man can hoop. He's SWAT team hostage negotiator and a cancer warrior for the past 10 years. This man has seen it all, done it all. You are the most interesting man I've talked to in a long time. Are you the Dos Equis guy in disguise? What's going on?
Am I the most interesting man in the world? No. I don't think so. My brothers would probably tell you I wasn't, but you never know.
How many brothers do you have, if you don't mind me asking?
I have two brothers. It's so funny. They were here visiting me. So you can't tell this from looking at me, but I'm 6'8" tall. Wow. And I played college basketball at the Citadel in Charleston, South Carolina.
Yeah,
I've got a brother who's 6'7", who was a pitcher for the University of Notre Dame's baseball team. Another brother who's 6'6", who was drafted by the Cleveland Cavaliers in the National Basketball Association. And then my dad was 6'5". So I sort of joke that if you sat behind our family in church growing up, not a prayer's chance you were going to see anything that was going on in front of you. So,
right on. That's, well, yeah. I remember sitting behind a family that was very tall like yours. So, yeah, kind of mad at you right now, but it's all good. But so obviously you used to hoop, and then just could you, if you could, just take us from day one to where you are now. Like, well, not obviously day one. I don't want to hear about when you was an embryo and everything, but I'm just saying, just take us from how'd you grow up? Where'd you come from? How did we get to where we're at?
So I grew up on the south side of Chicago. As I said, I'm the oldest of three boys. We were all, we all played sports. We all, we're old enough that, we were playing football during football season, then basketball, and then baseball. So it was just, we were just active and then we kind of all specialized, two of us in basketball and then my other brother in baseball. Got a scholarship to play basketball at the Citadel. Had the very good fortune to play against Michael Jordan in North Carolina in 1982, his freshman year, the year they won the national championship. Kind of a funny story there. My youngest brother, who went to Notre Dame, was the basketball coach at Loyola Academy in Chicago and coached Michael Jordan's two sons when they were in high school.
Wow.
And he tells kind of a funny story. He said, one day I'm at practice and it's toward the end of practice and I'm teaching the players a drill and I look up and nobody's paying attention to me at all. So I look over where they're looking and Jordan had come into the gym. As a dad, I'm here to pick up my kids after practice, not, as in any basketball capacity whatsoever. And so my brother looks at him and says, hey, Michael, you're a little bit of a distraction. Would you mind stepping out in the hall until practice is over? And Jordan and his wife were incredibly gracious people. They didn't try to micromanage my brother or coach the team or anything like that. And Jordan was like, sure, coach, sorry, I'll wait, out in the hall till after practice. And later my brother thought, I'm probably the only coach in the history of basketball that ever kicked Michael Jordan out of practice. So, it's just kind of a small world in a lot of ways. So graduated from college, first person in my family to graduate from college, move home to find a job, find that first job in the corporate headquarters of Wendys International, the hamburger chain, in their marketing department.
Did you come up with the 4x4? Did you come up with the...
No. But I was really there, and I don't know if you remember. You're pretty young, but I don't know if you remember. We had a commercial, a little old lady called Clara Peller, who kept going around saying, "Where's the beef? Where's the beef?"
Okay, yeah.
You remember that? So I was there during that, and that. So it was a lot of fun. I learned a lot.
Who came up with the spicy nuggets? That's all. That's what I want to know.
Spicy nuggets were kind of after me. I was in the heyday of when Wendy's had breakfast. We were testing hot dogs. You'll kind of like this story. So we had a piece of equipment that was called a 3WR, and it rolled the hot dogs back and forth to cook them. And 3WR stood for Wendy's Wonderful Wiener Rollers. So it was
good times. No, I do remember. One of my friends sent me this video. It was like Wendy's grill skills or something. If for those listening, go find this video. It's on YouTube somewhere, and it's like grill skills. And it shows how Wendy's would have the square patty, and it was called grill skills. I don't know if you remember that or if you were around for that, but that video is gold. Go check it out.
I'll have to check it out. I have not seen that.
It's good because it's kind of got like the '90s flair. So they're trying to appeal to the hip hop generation. It's fun. It's cute. But so Wendy's,
it's funny. Wendy's, like you say, has the square hamburgers where everybody else has the round. Dave Thomas, who was the founder of Wendy's,
rest in peace.
had
Rest in peace
made
to the God.
square. Yeah, Wendy's. Yeah, he made square hamburgers because his mother taught him not to cut corners. So that's why he made the hamburger square instead of round.
Okay, my brother is if my brother's listening to this, he's really going to appreciate this. So because we love us some Wendy's. This podcast is not sponsored by Wendy's, but we encourage you.
Maybe
I know we encourage you to go to Wendy's. Okay, so corporate world of Wendy's, and what happened there with the 3WR?
So I started out in field marketing and then moved to new product marketing, which was always a lot of fun because there was a woman in the office. We had a testing lab in the corporate headquarters, and so this woman would go around in the morning and would be like, "Hey, do you want to test something today?" And she would go around to everybody until she had enough people, and literally you sat in a cubicle and a door opened and something would get shoved at you, whether it was a Frosty or a hamburger or a chicken sandwich, and you had no idea what they were testing. They might give you a hamburger with ketchup on it because they were testing a new ketchup or, a new type of Frosty or a new bun, but you had no idea. And then they would ask you to rate it. So it was always good. If you didn't have lunch plans, you always had lunch plans if you could get her to say, "Hey, yeah, I'll do whatever the taste test is for the day." So that was a lot of fun.
Good times. See, okay, you on the hustle. He's like, "Hey, what can I get for lunch? Hey, bring me into the room where you test something, and we'll make it happen."
Yeah, what are you testing today? Hamburgers? Okay, yeah, I'm feeling like a burger today. How about some chicken sandwich?
Yeah, no salads, please.
Yeah, I don't want any. No, none of that.
So after you, what transitioned after? What was the transition from Wendy's to hostage negotiator? Was it how did we get there?
Well, before that, I became a hospital administrator, and a lot of that had to do with when I graduated from college. I ended up living with my parents for the next 3.5 years as I helped my mom care for my father and my grandmother, who were both dying of different forms of cancer. So I got into hospital administration, and then I made a major pivot. As you said, I got into law enforcement. And so there's a backstory to all this. My grandfather was a Chicago police officer from 1924 to 1954. So he was in Chicago during Prohibition, when alcohol was outlawed, during the Great Depression in the late 20s, early 30s, and when, Al Capone and those guys were shooting up the town. And he was actually shot in the line of duty with his own gun. It was not a serious injury. He was shot in the ankle. But my dad always remembered the stories my grandmother told of the knock on the door of, "Mrs. Tucker, grab your son, come with us. Your husband's been shot." And let's face it, trauma medicine in 1933 was not what trauma medicine is, in 2022.
Pour some vodka on it. Yeah.
When I expressed an interest, when I expressed an interest in going into law enforcement, my dad was absolutely not. You're going to go to college. You're going to major in business. You're going to get out, get a great job, get married, have 2.4 kids, and live happily ever after. But that's what my dad wanted me to do. That's not what I felt my purpose was. So when I graduated from college, I had that choice. I could say, "Dad, I know you're sick, but sorry, I'm going to go blaze my own trail. Or out of love and respect for you, I will do what you want me to do and go into business." So as my first 2 jobs were in business, and I always say I did what every good son did. I waited till my father passed away, and then I followed my own dreams. So.
Right. No, and I appreciate you sharing that. And I love to always hear stories about the pivot. The pivot is probably the most, no pun intended, but it is a pivotal point. But I mean, it's like, what can you talk about just your mentality going into a pivot? Like, cause especially that's a major change. Like where, the fear of the unknown, am I doing this right? Where am I going to sleep? How am I going to make money? Like, what was going through your head?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that's a great question. And I was a 37-year-old rookie police officer, which by most accounts is pretty old to be doing that. I can tell you this, I took a whole lot more Tylenol in the police academy than all the younger people did, because of everything we went through. But it was, my wife and I had recently been married. We'd moved out to Santa Barbara, California. And I remember seeing a circular for Santa Barbara City College that says if you take this class, then you can apply to be a reserve police officer with any agency within the state. So you can imagine how that went at dinner. My wife had married me when I was a suit and tie, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday kind of guy. And I'm like, hey, hon, I'd like to take this class and see how it goes. And, maybe work nights, miss birthdays and anniversaries, get sick all the time because you're out in all kinds of weather, all the fun stuff. And my wife was incredibly supportive and has been my entire life. And so she was like, take the class, see what happens. So I did, and I got on with Santa Barbara PD as a reserve. Our daughter was born. We moved to Cincinnati, Ohio. And I told her that. I said, I want to do this full time. I want to go through the police academy. I want to be a full-time officer. And again, very supportive. And it was scary. It was like, I feel the calling, but do I really know what I'm doing? And I'll be honest with you, having that job at Wendys and being a hospital administrator gave me some life experience that I was able to bring, to law enforcement that I think helped me be a better policeman.
Yeah. Well, no, I appreciate you sharing that, because I mean, that is and I'm glad that you have a great support system, because yes, you do need that support system. I'm a stand-up comic, and I have to tell my wife, like, yeah, I'm going to go on the road and I'm going to do shows. I'm going to sleep in this hotel. I'm with spotty Wi-Fi, doing my best. And so, yeah, I'm not putting myself in danger like you were every night. But I mean, I'm just glad that you were able to have that support system, because a lot of people just don't have that. And to anyone that is out there, that's listening and saying, oh, well, how do you, I don't know. How do you find that support system if you don't have one?
I mean, I think, first of all, you've got to rely on yourself. You've got to be, resilient. You've got to be, you've got to believe. And you're your one man operation. You're a comic. I mean, you have to produce every day. You have to get up and make it happen and adapt and change and innovate. And if you don't, you're not going to be successful. So you rely on yourself. Yes, you have a wife and you have a support system of friends and things like that. But, it's the same way. I think you need to start with yourself, get your house in order, and then surround yourself with people that care about you, that love you, that support you, and probably most importantly, that are willing to tell you the truth, even if it sacrifices the relationship they have with you. So if they say, hey, Jay, I think you're kind of messing up here. But what do we always do? We always like, well, Jay, if you don't agree with me, then you know what? You're not my friend anymore. Oh, no, those people are your friends, and you need to cultivate them and have as many of them around you as you possibly can.
That's the most honest. That's, to anybody that's listening, that is solid free game right there. That is chef's kiss. Mwah. That is free game right there, because there's a lot of people. I'm like you, Terry, where I shoot straight with my friends, and because there was a time in my life where I didn't have honest people around me, and until it took some people to just pull me by my collar and literally say, "Yo, man, you are messing up," and and so like I'm just glad that you have that, and also to touch on what you said, getting your house in order. Whether it's your family situation or just being organized in general. My house is in complete disarray, but it's still somewhat in order. But I think it's important. Just to piggyback off what you said, I think it's just important. Everything that everything you said about getting your house in order, I really, really, really like that. And so now you're a police officer, and and then where you just work in the beat, and then you decided to, I don't know, take me through that process, because I don't understand the whole hostage negotiator part.
So I started out, went through the police academy, got out. I was a rookie cop. I was working nights, in a marked car, in a uniform, answering radio runs and stuff like that. Did that for about 4 years. And then, you'll probably laugh at this, then I became an undercover narcotics investigator. So here's this 6'8" white guy, you know, and I never changed my appearance. I never grew a beard. I never grew my hair long. I just was me. And people were like, well, how did you do that? And what I always tell them is, you know, the drug game, you know, illicit drugs, that business, and it is a business, is motivated by greed. So if you have money, you'll find somebody that, you know, is willing to sell you drugs. And so we would do that. We would work with informants, you know, to go in and do buys for us and then, you know, hit the place with a search warrant and stuff like that. So that was kind of fun. And at the same time, I joined the SWAT team. They had an opening for a hostage negotiator. And, you know, being a college basketball player, you know, following my dreams in the law enforcement, I always wanted to be part of the best. And, you know, SWAT on most police departments is the best. You know, they get the best equipment, they have the best officers, they get the best training. And so I wanted that. And so I had to go through the whole, you know, I had to do the physical fitness. You had to run so much, do so many push-ups and sit-ups. And I was probably in my 40s at this time. You know, you had to go through the psychological, you had to meet with the psychiatrist, you know, you had to take tests, you had to, you know, they talked to your old bosses, they had interviews. And then they chose, you know, from a pool of people that were interested, 3 or 4 of us to add to the hostage negotiation team. So that's kind of how that started.
I mean, I feel like personally, if I'm in a situation, if I'm a criminal and I'm in a bad situation, I see a 6'8" dude come out to negotiate. Negotiation's over. Like I'm like, hey man, you know what? Like, listen, I'm good. If I see you come out, it's a wrap. I'm like, no, thank you. I mean, maybe we could play some one-on-one or something. I don't know. Have you ever had to do that? Just play. All right, man. All right. Put the gun down. Let's play ball. Let's hoop right now.
You know, I'll give you a funny story, but most of what we did was either on the phone, you know, talking to somebody, or you know, behind a door, and we would put up what was called ballistic blankets, so that if somebody shot through the wall or the door, the blankets would stop them in that. But there was a guy one night who had taken his wife hostage with a gun. He barricaded himself in his house, and I was working that night. I was a sergeant by this time. And so I was working in a marked car again. So I got to the scene pretty quickly. I'm talking to the beat guys. The guys are there. I'm like, what's the deal? It's like, he's drunk. He's taken his wife hostage. He's barricaded himself. I said, do you have him on the phone? He's like, yeah. I said, okay. So I'm talking to him for 10 minutes. And usually you don't ask anybody to come out for hours. You have to build rapport. You have to build trust and all that stuff. But I just had a feeling. So I said to him, what would it take for you to come out? And there was like this long pause, and he's like, give me a beer. I said, if I gave you a beer, do I have your word that you would put the gun down, let your wife come out, and then you would come out? He said, do I have your word I could drink it? I said, yes, you have my word that you could drink the beer. He said, well, then give me a beer. So I gave $5 to one of the, you know, the uniform guys. I said, get out of the store, buy a beer. The tactical team put it on the front porch. I called him back and I said, your beer's on the front porch, but you don't get it until your wife comes out. You put the gun down and you come out. He said, do I still have your word I can drink it? I said, absolutely. All of a sudden, the front door flies open and here comes his wife. He comes out with his hands up. We handcuff him, let him drink his beer, and off to jail he goes. So
off to jail he went with a beer. Which I got to know which brand of beer it was, Terry.
Budweiser.
Just
Budweiser, the king of beers.
Yep, the king of beers, the king of hostage negotiators. This man, listen, like, I don't know, you're in marketing. You were in marketing. So, I mean, like, I'm just saying, if you want to write a commercial and pitch it, I'm just saying,
hey, look at it. We got Wendys and Budweiser that could sponsor this show for you, you know, so.
This man, I'll give credit where credit is due. That is, because that's a tense situation. Obviously, you want to ensure the safety of everybody that's around, and but just kudos to you just for saying, you know, just having the intuition and the wherewithal just to figure out, like, all right, what would it take to come, you know, because I don't know how to hostage negotiate. I don't, you know, what what is that even? How long is the training?
The training is more on the job training. So there are guys that are really seasoned and that have been doing this for a while. We have a psychologist that works with us, and our training is every month we go to the police academy and we run through different scenarios. How would we handle this if this happened, if that happened, and we always debrief. And, if we do our job right, then the tactical team won't have to use any of the toys that they have, all their guns and their, armored vehicles and stuff like that. And about 90% of the time we were successful in getting the person out. Yeah. But about 10% of the time they were like, no, I'm not going back to jail. I can't do that anymore. And they chose to end their life. And while that was always tragic, and I don't mean this to sound callous, I never lost any sleep over that, because I knew I did the very best I could to try to get that person, out safely. And also, if you think about it, to bring somebody who has no knowledge of the situation into a problem that in a lot of times has been festering for, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, and all of a sudden comes to a head on this particular night, and you've got to go in and try to solve it. I mean, we do the best we can, but let's be honest. I mean, we're not miracle workers. And, but like I said, 90% of the time we got the people out safely, and, we all went home, and you know what? We'll do it again whenever it happens the next time.
Right. And I know you were kind of tiptoeing around that. I don't think that's callous what you said, because like you said, you're doing the best that you can. And you said earlier, this problem may have been festering for 10 weeks, 10 years, and you've just been inserted into the situation 3 hours ago. You do the best you can. And so, I mean, obviously you definitely have to have some sort of resiliency, how do you go home on those tough nights? And how did you, I mean, like you say, you didn't really lose sleep, but, was there any time you did, or just?
I mean, I always thought about it. I mean, we always, regardless of, what hour it was, if it's 4:00 in the morning, we were always going to go back and debrief after the situation was over. And, what went right? What went wrong? How could we have done things better? What did we learn? How can we apply that to the next scenario that we go? So there was always learning going on. There was always, that was new, or and really what you're trying to do and it's a relationship, hostage taker and, hostage negotiator, you're developing a relationship, just like a husband and wife, or a parent or a child, or a boss,
Absolutely.
Their subordinate. You're developing a relationship, and part of developing a relationship is trust. They have to trust you. And you may spend, 3 hours over here talking about something when the real problem is over here, and they don't trust you enough until you build that rapport to where, okay, now I can start talking to you about what the real problem is, why we're really here. And so, yes, I always learn. I give you another kind of funny story. We were negotiating with a 15-year-old kid who had barricaded himself in a house with a gun and had shot, out the window and that kind of stuff. And we tried everything we knew to try to get him out, and nothing was working. So we sort of called the timeout. We all got together and what do you think? And, we're talking, it's like, and somebody came up with the idea, is like, he's 15 years old. He's a kid. Let's scare him. So we decided to break a window and throw in a flashbang device, which basically sort of explodes. It doesn't explode like a grenade. It just makes a loud bang and a bright light. That's all it does. And we thought, well, let's try this and see if we can scare him. And so the tactical team breaks the window, throws in the flashbang, it goes off. Within 10 minutes, he was out. So sometimes you just got to be like a parent. You got to scare your kids. It's like, come on, let's go. You're coming out. And so, sometimes you got to be unconventional. You got to try new things, see if things work. I mean, we know how to do this, but in a lot of cases, you're dealing with the irrational or the mentally ill, and by the book doesn't work. You kind of got to innovate.
No, and my goodness, I can't even imagine, but it seems like this made you perfect for, where you're at now with, speaking to others about, staying motivated and inspiring others. I mean, you've been a man of the people since day one. I mean, obviously people literally look up to you at 6'8". And so, I mean, it's and if you're dealing with all these people in relationships and de-escalating, you're seeing people at their lowest moment. I can't even imagine. I cannot even imagine to see people at their lowest point, and you're just trying to be that little guiding light to help them get back out of it. And so, kudos to you, sir. And I truly appreciate that, because, you've seen people at their lowest point. My question to you is, how do you, not even just from a negotiation standpoint, but what is the resounding theme when you see these people at their lowest point? What's going on?
I think the thing you have to remember, and I think this is where kind of law enforcement sometimes get themselves in trouble, is that these are people, and you have to remember that. And,
Thank you for saying that.
And I always remember, if I did a traffic stop on somebody, that may be the scariest thing that happens to them all year. Yeah. For me, it's the third traffic stop of the night. So you kind of have to keep that in perspective, balancing that with your safety and doing what you are supposed to do, doing your job and, enforcing the law and things like that. But you've got to remember that these are people. And we're not all, we're not all the same. We all have unique gifts and talents, but we're not all, rich. We're not all poor. We're not. So you have to be able, and people sometimes reach out to me. It's like, I want to get into law enforcement. Now, this doesn't happen very often these days, but I want to get into law enforcement. What do you suggest? And I always tell them, put your devices down. Go out on the street and talk to the homeless guy. And then go up to the penthouse and talk to that guy. Because if you can talk to people, if you can communicate with people, you will be a good police officer. If you can't talk to, if your whole life is, I'm texting my life away, you're never going to be good at that job. You're going to be frustrated because you've got to talk to people and you've got to be able to empathize with them. You've got to be, you still have to do your job. And if that means taking them to jail, that means taking them to jail. But everybody thinks we want to take people to jail. In all honesty, we don't. We just like to solve the problem so that it doesn't happen again. And, voluntary compliance, just do what we ask you. If we're wrong, we'll apologize. And I've been wrong. I've arrested the wrong person and stuff like that. But that's okay. As long as you communicate, as long as you explain. And like I said, I think that's where law enforcement gets into trouble, where they don't articulate. They don't explain why I pulled you over. Well, I pulled you over because your car matches the description of somebody who was involved in an armed robbery. It's not you. Thank you for your cooperation. Have a safe day. And people understand that. Oh, okay, my car matches the description. But if you just say, okay, you're free to go, what's the lingering question that people will have in their head? Why did you stop me?
That part, yeah. I've been pulled over and, and I've had people just, and then you're like, okay, what was that about? I didn't know why I was being pulled over. And then they was like, all right, you're free to go. And I was like, what the hell was that about? And then, I'm like, what? Okay. But yeah, like you said, explaining and just clarifying the story, showing empathy, then realizing like, I'm nervous, let's call it what it is. Like, I'll be honest. Like if I grew up in Inglewood, if I see 6'8" Terry Tucker hop out of the car, I'm scared shitless. Okay. Like I'm going to be a little bit nervous and like, what did I do? And then if you tell me if I'm free to go, I still feel like I'm not free to go. And so, so thank you just for even explaining that. And, it's nice that we can have this conversation, just the two of us, because we don't have to get into it, and I really don't want to, but we know the political climate these days in the last few years. And so how things have been. And people have the perception I'm not in law enforcement, but I am a military member. And so some people see our jobs as similar at times. Right. They see us as either heroes or part of the problem. And it's kind of frustrating at times because I'm like, no, I'm just want to serve my country. That's it. That's really it. And everybody wants to go home. Everybody wants to go home. I'm a firm believer in that, And so, thank you.
That's,
really.
You always see to serve and protect. That's our motto. Now, our motto is everybody who comes to work today goes home as good or better than when they came to work in the first place. That's our motto.
My man.
That doesn't look really good on the side of a police car, but
it really doesn't. It really doesn't. It really doesn't. Instead of to serve and protect on the side of a police car, be like, listen, everybody wants to go home. Y'all want a beer? Question mark. You know what I mean? Like it just,
Right.
you know. But so now, so you've left the force after this point, correct?
I did. My wife lost her job. She supported me in the law enforcement. She's always been the primary breadwinner. She lost her job in Cincinnati. We had to move to Houston. And so it was time for me to find something else to do. So that's when I started a school security consulting business. I coached girls high school basketball. And it's also the time that I got diagnosed with cancer.
Oh my goodness. Let's get into that. I wanted to see when did you find out?
2012. Like I said, girl high school basketball coach, had a callus break open on the bottom of my foot right below my third toe. And initially I didn't think much of it because as a coach, you're on your feet a lot. But after it didn't heal for a few weeks, I made an appointment and went to see a podiatrist, a foot doctor friend of mine. And he took an x-ray and he said, Terry, I think you have a little cyst in there and I can cut it out. And he did. And he showed it to me. It was just a little gelatin sac with some white fat in it, no dark spots, no blood, nothing that gave either one of us concern. But fortunately or unfortunately, he sent it off to pathology. And then 2 weeks later, I got a call from him. And as I mentioned, he was a friend. And the more difficulty he was having explaining to me what was going on, the more frightened I was becoming. Until finally he just laid it out for me. He said, Terry, I've been a doctor for 25 years. I have never seen the form of cancer that you have. You have a rare form of melanoma. Most of us think of melanoma as too much exposure to the sun, and it hurts the melon, the pigment in our skin. This is a rare form of melanoma that appears on the bottom of the feet or the palms of the hands. And because it's so rare, he recommended I go to MD Anderson Cancer Center in Houston and be treated. And that started my 10-year odyssey through cancer, which has seen my left foot amputated in 2018 and my left leg amputated in 2020.
Wow. And I can't even imagine, one, glad you're still here. Like, seriously. And
beats the alternative.
Yeah, it beats the alternative. Where were you at just mentally as you were recovering and going through that process? I mean, take me through that if you could.
Yeah, I mean, I think initially I guess I experienced all the emotions that we would associate with grief. First you start off kind of in denial. It's like, wait a minute, I can't possibly have cancer. I've done everything right in my life. I've exercised, I eat right, I eat all that stuff. And then you get mad. It's like you just are upset. And then you sort of bargain with God. Our daughter was in high school when I found out I had cancer. So it was, hey, just let me live long enough, to see her graduate from high school. Yeah. And then you kind of get down for a while. And then, at least I did, I got to a point where it was like, okay, this sucks, but we're going to have to embrace the suck. These are the cards that I've been dealt. I don't like these cards, but I'm going to have to play them to the best of my ability. And that's what I've been doing for these last, 10 years now. And I made a very conscious decision early on that I was never going to take out my bad fortune or my bad luck on a doctor or a nurse or a therapist or anybody that was trying to help me. I've seen people do that. They're frustrated, they're mad, and they take it out. They project that on somebody else. And it's just a shame that happens. It's like, it's not their fault. They're here trying to help you. Why would you want to take it out on them? I understand why they do, just because they're frustrated and they're angry and they're scared and all that kind of stuff. But I've really tried to say, hey, thanks for trying to help me. Thanks for, to my doctors, to my nurses, to my therapists. So it's been a heck of a ride.
Yeah. What did you gain the most from this whole journey so far?
I think it kind of crystallized something that I learned from my basketball playing days, from playing team sports. I started playing basketball when I was 9 years old and played all the way up until I was 21. And I think what team sports teaches us And it doesn't have to be sports. I mean, it could be, you're in a band, you're in a play, anything you're in a group with, even a family. What team sports teaches us, or taught me, was the importance of being part of something that's bigger than yourself. You realize on a team that if you don't do your job, not only do you let yourself down, but let your teammates down, your coaches down, your fans down, etc. And if you think about it, the biggest team game that we all play is this game of life. So, you get to a point where it's not so much about you as it is, what can I do to make the world a better place? What can I do to help people? I have tumors in my lungs now that I'm treated for every 3 weeks. And it's a really ugly treatment. It affects my body. I throw up, I shake, I do all that kind of thing. And it's probably not going to save my life, but it might save the life of somebody 5 years from now or 10 years from now, based on the data that the doctors are gleaning from my blood tests and my scans and stuff like that. And to me, that's being part of something that's bigger than yourself. And I always ask myself when I get up in the morning, do I have to go to treatment or do I get to go to treatment? That's kind of how do we approach life? Do I have to go to work or do I get to go to work?
That's what I'm saying. No, I love that, Terry. I love that because there was a time, I hate to talk about myself real quick, but there was a time when I was doing comedy, and comedy's a hard job. It's frustrating. There's nights that you're not in the mood to make people laugh. You want to actually be very, very sad. And I used to say, I have to do comedy. And then I started touring and started progressing in my career, and, got a stable life and stable situation. And then I was like, I get to do comedy. So I'm excited. I'm with you all the way on that, man. It's just when you get to that point in life where it's like you appreciate so much more, where it's like, I don't have to do it, I get to do it. And so that's so cool to hear. And you just mentioning that the greatest team sport is life. I was not ready for that this morning. My goodness. So, that's crazy. As far as how are you keeping yourself busy now? What's Terry Tucker doing these days?
Yeah, so I made the brilliant business decision to start a motivational speaking business right when the pandemic hit. So probably you're going to dismiss everything I say after this because this guy's an idiot, for doing that. But but that, like everybody else who had a business going, who had, I don't know how you did, comedy. I mean, obviously, clubs probably weren't open. You couldn't meet and things like that. So you had to adapt. You had to innovate. And I remember the first person that reached out to me and said, hey, would you like to be on my podcast? And my answer was, what's a podcast? I had no idea, what that was. And that was probably more than 500 podcasts ago. I've been fortunate to be on 500 podcasts all around the world with just some amazing people to sort of tell my story and what I've learned from it, and hopefully, help people out. And so I changed from, I'm going to do motivational speaking to I'm going to do it on podcast. And now that things are opening up again, I'm starting to get back out there and talk, to groups and stuff like that, which I love. I miss. And I'm sure like you play off the crowd. You like having a crowd there saying, hey, Jay's having a great night. He's really hitting. These are great jokes. That's the same way I feel. When you're isolated, when you're in your house, when you're, you can't be around people. It's like, man, I want to interact with people. And I'm sure the same way with you. So for me, it's just been great now that it's kind of opening up and I can get back out there and do that.
Yeah. Well, how can people find you?
So I have a blog called Motivational Check, and it's motivationalcheck.com. Every day I put up a thought for the day, and with that thought kind of comes a question about maybe how you can apply that thought into your life. On Mondays, I put up the Monday morning motivational message, which a lot of times is a video or a story I find online that I think would resonate with people. All my podcasts are on there. My social media links are there. You can leave me a message there. So motivationalcheck.com will get you to me.
That's right. So if you're sitting there at your desk right now, you're listening to this podcast and you're wondering, all right, I need just something to, right the ship for today. And just go, check my man Terry out at motivationalcheck.com. Now I gotta Now we got to talk hoops for a minute because I can't let you. So who's your Mount Rushmore? Who's your Mount Rushmore? Who's up there?
Certainly Jordan.
Yeah.
I think Kobe.
Mm-hmm.
Magic, Kareem, and Larry Bird.
That's an unbeatable team. Unbeatable. Yeah, I can't really argue with that team. If that was a starting five, Magic at the point. You know, you got Larry at the 4, Kareem at the 5, and then Jordan and Kobe doing what. There's plenty of spacing for everybody. I think, you know,
absolutely.
There's going to be a lot of ISO. Going to be a lot of ISO. Yeah, but
I'm looking for that sky hook from Kareem.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and then just like real quick, what was your game like? What was your best shot? What was your physical guy?
You know, I had 3 knee surgeries in high school, so I was very fortunate, very lucky to play in college, not alone to play at the Division I level. I was just lucky that, you know, I grew up in Chicago. So, I mean, Isaiah Thomas, who you probably remember,
yes, I do.
He was in my conference. I mean, we used to sit together. We would talk to each other in the summer when we would come home. He went to Indiana, played for Bobby Knight, won a national championship, and then went on with the Pistons and won a couple NBA championships. And it's funny because we used to talk about our philosophies and stuff. And I said, you know, what's it like playing for Bobby Knight? And he said, Knight's, you know, he's very demanding, but he's an incredibly loyal person when it comes to his players. And he said Knight had a saying, and I thought this was kind of interesting. He said Bobby Knight used to have a saying that mental is to physical as 4 is to 1. You know, so here's this great coach teaching elite athletes how to use their bodies, you know, to be great basketball players. But what he's really saying with that quote is that your mind or your mindset is 4 times more important than anything your physical body's ever going to do.
Right. It is mindset. I always think about the Prefontaine and just the, you know, trying to break the 4-minute mile and everything. It hadn't been broken for years. And then he did it. And then everyone started doing it. It was just it was just seeing how far your mind can go. So thank you just for sharing that. Man, Terry, we got to get out of here. But like, I really, really appreciate you just taking the time to sit with me and talk. I mean, I hope to see you. You're always bouncing around. You're in Colorado now, right?
I am. I think we're here to stay though. So. Okay.
If I'm in a show, I'm trying to actually lock down some shows in Colorado, Fort Collins, Denver, Colorado Springs. Yeah. I don't know, but listen, sir, I'm going to find you and hopefully we can laugh it up, shake hands.
I would love
that. Because I really, really, really appreciate you just taking the time to sit with me this morning. So keep going. Everybody out there, follow my man, Terry Tucker, motivationalcheck.com. Get your motivation on. Terry, thank you so much for stopping by. Glad you made it. Seriously.
Thank you, Jay. I appreciate it. And good luck with your shows.
Thanks, man. You take care.
You too.